The breaking point. The Galactic Council chamber hung suspended in the void between stars, a marvel of engineering that housed representatives from over 300 species. Crystalline walls reflected the light of distant suns, and gravity generators maintained a comfortable environment for beings from worlds spanning countless evolutionary paths. At the center of the chamber, the Council of Seven sat elevated on their dais, the oldest and most powerful species that had guided galactic civilization for millennia. Below them, arranged in concentric circles, sat the junior representatives, including the newest addition to the galactic community, humans. Ambassador Elena Chen stood at the speaking podium, her posture perfect despite the mounting pressure. Behind her, the small human delegation watched silently. For 2 Earth years, they had engaged in negotiations for humanity's admission into the Galactic Compact. Today was supposed to be the culmination of those efforts. "We thank the esteemed Council for their consideration," Elena said, her voice calm despite the decree she had just heard. "However, I request clarification on several points of the admission terms." High Counselor Verix, a Tlaxian whose crystalline exoskeleton glimmered under the chamber lights, leaned forward. 6 eyes blinked in sequence before he spoke. "The terms are standard for species of your development level, Ambassador Chen. Earth will receive protection, limited technology transfers, and trade rights. In exchange, you will provide the designated resource quotas, accept our oversight of your expansion efforts, and surrender your independent military capabilities." Belena's heart raced, but her face remained impassive. "And our AI research, our quantum physics programs, our nanofabrication technologies, all to be supervised and limited according to Category 3 guidelines," answered Counselor Mira Zin, her tentacles waving dismissively. "Your species has shown concerning tendencies toward rapid technological advancement. For the stability of galactic civilization, these restrictions are necessary." Admiral James Reeves, seated behind Elena, passed her a data tablet. She glanced at it briefly before returning her attention to the Council. "We were under the impression that Earth would enter as a Category 2 civilization with appropriate self-determination rights," she said. Verix's exoskeleton rippled, the Tlaxian equivalent of a condescending smile. "Your impression was optimistic. The Council has conducted thorough assessments of human history and psychology. Your species is remarkably unpredictable. You advance too quickly, adapt too readily, and exhibit concerning aggression when threatened. We've maintained peace on our world for 80 years, Elena countered. After nearly destroying yourselves multiple times, Counselor Vactor rumbled, his massive reptilian frame shifting. The simulations are clear. Without proper guidance and restrictions, humanity presents a destabilizing element to galactic society. Elena stood motionless for 10 seconds. The human delegation behind her exchanged glances, but remained silent. Throughout the chamber, representatives from other worlds watched with a mixture of pity and curiosity. "I see," she finally said. "And these terms are non-negotiable." "They are the consensus of the Council," Verix confirmed. "We expect your formal acceptance within 1 standard cycle." Elena nodded once. She turned to her delegation and made a simple hand gesture. As one, the humans stood, gathered their materials, and began to file out of the chamber. "Ambassador Chen," Verix called. "We await your response." Elena paused at the exit. "You've heard it, Counselor. Our silence is our answer." The chamber erupted into murmurs as the humans departed. No species had ever simply walked away from admission negotiations. It was unheard of. The benefits of Council protection were considered too valuable to reject. 3 months later, the Council observation post orbiting Saturn detected unusual activity. Energy signatures unlike anything previously recorded emanated from Earth's moon. Similar readings appeared around Mars, then the asteroid belt. "Analysis suggests they're building something," reported Zik, the Vargan observer, to the Emergency Council session. "But the technology, it doesn't match any known patterns." "Impossible," Counselor Marazin dismissed. Without our assistance, they cannot achieve significant space-based infrastructure. Their existing technology is primitive. High Counselor Verix wasn't so certain. They've shown remarkable ingenuity before. What are your projections? Unknown, admitted Zyke. They've erected energy fields that block our deep scans. We can only detect power signatures and movement. Have they responded to communication attempts? Asked Vactor. No. Complete silence since they left the council chamber. Verix's crystalline structure darkened with concern. Increased surveillance. If they're arming themselves, we may need to intervene before they become a threat. On Earth, cities hummed with unprecedented activity. In underground facilities that sprawled beneath every continent, production lines operated around the clock. The orbital shipyards, hidden from council observers through technology reverse-engineered from captured alien probes, assembled vessels unlike anything humans had built before. In Washington, D.C., the United Earth government convened an emergency session. President Alvarez stood before the gathered leaders, her expression grave. The Arcturus project is ahead of schedule, she announced. The first fleet will be operational within 6 weeks. Admiral Reeves nodded. Our intelligence confirms the Council remains unaware of our true capabilities. The technology we concealed during their assessment has been fully deployed. And what of diplomatic channels? Asked the representative from the African Union. Elena Chen, no longer merely an ambassador but now Earth's strategic director for galactic affairs, stood. They continue to send ultimatums, each with increasingly desperate offers of concessions. They cannot comprehend that we simply refuse their terms. And the Proxima Alliance? Asked Alvarez. Secure, Elena confirmed. The species the Council considers primitive have been receptive to our outreach. They are as tired of Council domination as we are. Alvarez surveyed the room. Then we proceed as planned. Operation Exodus commences in 2 days. The Council observation post reported the anomaly at 300 Galactic Standard Time. An energy surge unlike anything their instruments had ever recorded erupted from Earth's North American continent. Similar surges followed from Asia, Europe, Africa, and South America. High Counselor, the panicked observer reported, the humans, they're gone. Explain, demanded Verix. The population centers, they're empty. 5 billion life signs vanished in an instant. Impossible. Scan again. We've confirmed multiple times. Most of the human population has simply disappeared. The council chamber fell silent. No species possessed mass teleportation technology. The energy requirements were theoretically impossible. Where did they go? Vactor finally asked. The question hung in the air, unanswered. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council felt true fear. The reckoning. 3 days after humanity's apparent disappearance, the Galactic Council's Central Communications Array received a message, simple text, transmitted on all frequencies in all known languages of the Compact. The delegation of the United Earth Government requests an audience with the full Galactic Council in 72 hours. Coordinates for the meeting will follow. Be advised. This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy. The council chamber descended into chaos. Junior representatives demanded explanations while the Council of 7 retreated to their private chambers for emergency consultation. How dare they dictate terms to us? Marazin's tentacles writhed in agitation. They are nothing. A primitive species barely out of their atmospheric cradles. A primitive species that somehow teleported billions of individuals instantaneously, Verix reminded her. Something our best scientists claim is impossible. It must be a trick, insisted Vactor. Perhaps they've simply hidden their population underground. Our sensors would detect that, said Counselor Ishera, the Lumidian whose energy-based form flickered with anxiety. No, they've achieved something beyond our understanding. The greater question, rumbled Xandar, the eldest of the 7, is what they intend now. The coordinates transmitted by the humans led to a previously unremarkable region of space 12 light-years from Earth. The Council dispatched its most powerful diplomatic vessel, accompanied by a battle fleet, officially as an honor guard, but in reality as protection against whatever human treachery might await. What they found defied comprehension. A massive space station hung in the void, a structure that would have taken the most advanced Council worlds decades to build. Around it orbited smaller facilities and ships of distinctly human design, but incorporating elements no Council engineer had ever imagined. Scan results are confusing, reported the science officer aboard the Council flagship. The structure appears to be composed of matter in an unstable quantum state. It shouldn't be possible. High Counselor Varric stared at the view screen, his crystalline body refracting light in patterns that betrayed his unease. Open a channel. The station responded immediately. Ambassador Elena Chen appeared on screen, dressed in a formal uniform that bore no resemblance to anything she had worn before the Council. High Counselor, she greeted, her expression neutral. Thank you for accepting our invitation. What is the meaning of this, Ambassador? Varric demanded. Where is your population? What is this structure? All will be explained, Counselor. Please dock your diplomatic vessel. The Council of Seven is invited aboard Freedom Station. Your escort must remain at a distance. Varric bristled. You expect us to board your station without protection? Elena's expression didn't change. If you feel unsafe, you may decline our invitation. However, I assure you, if we meant you harm, your fleet would provide no meaningful protection. To demonstrate her point, a small human vessel suddenly appeared beside the Council flagship, instantaneously, without any detectable movement or energy signature. Alarms blared as weapons systems automatically targeted it, but the vessel remained, a silent demonstration of capabilities that should not exist. 6 hours later, the Council of Seven stood in a vast chamber aboard Freedom Station. Through transparent walls, they could see the stars, and something else. Periodically, the fabric of space itself seemed to ripple, and for brief moments, glimpses of other regions of the galaxy appeared. Impossible, whispered Ishera, her energy form pulsing with shock. Elena entered, accompanied by Admiral Reeves and President Alvarez. Behind them walked several beings the Council recognized as representatives of younger species, including some that had been denied Council membership in the past. Welcome to Freedom Station, Alvarez said. The first of many we are constructing throughout this sector and beyond. How? Demanded Marazin. This technology, it violates fundamental laws of physics. Admiral Reeves smiled. No, Counselor, it violates your understanding of those laws. When your assessment teams studied Earth, Elena explained, we showed them what we wanted them to see. Carefully curated technology, restricted research facilities, limited capabilities. We've known about the galactic community for longer than you realize. That's not possible, Varric objected. Our stealth observation was detected during your first approach to our solar system. Reeves interrupted. We've been monitoring your monitors for decades. As for where our population has gone, Alvarez continued, gesturing toward the rippling space visible through the walls. We've established colonies, many colonies. Using what we call fold space technology, Elena explained. Instantaneous transportation across unlimited distances, something your scientists considered impossible because you've been limited by compact restrictions on certain avenues of research for millennia. The Council members exchanged glances. The implications were staggering. And what do you want now? Asked Tandar, the first to recover from the shock. A reconsideration of terms. Elena said simply, Earth will join the Galactic Compact, but as a Category 1 civilization with full autonomy rights. We will share certain technologies, gradually and under controlled circumstances, with the Compact. In exchange, the Council will reform its membership criteria and treatment of developing species. And if we refuse, Vactor growled. Admiral Reeves' expression hardened. Then we'll proceed without you. We've already formed alliances with 15 primitive species the Council has exploited or ignored. Together, we're establishing an alternative to the compact. You would fracture galactic civilization. Mara, Zin accused. No, President Alvarez corrected. We would evolve it. The Council of Seven found themselves speechless, an unprecedented situation in the history of the compact. You walked away from our table, Elena reminded them. Now we're inviting you to join ours. The choice is yours, but be advised. The galaxy is changing, with or without your cooperation. One standard year later, the reformed Galactic Assembly gathered in its new headquarters, a station that orbited in neutral space. Representatives from over 400 species attended, including many that had previously been deemed too primitive for consideration. High Counselor Verix, now simply one member of the Assembly's Executive Committee rather than a superior ruler, addressed the gathered representatives. The past year has brought unprecedented change to our galactic community, he admitted. Change that, I must acknowledge, was long overdue. Around the chamber, human representatives sat alongside their alien counterparts. The technology they had shared, carefully and selectively, had already begun to transform medicine, transportation, and communications throughout the assembly worlds. When the humans walked away from our negotiating table, Verix continued, we mistook their silence for resignation. We believed they would return, humbled and ready to accept our terms. We were wrong. Elena Chen, now serving as Earth's assembly representative, listened impassively. Instead, Verix concluded, they taught us the most important lesson any species can learn. Assumptions about the capabilities and determination of others are the most dangerous mistakes we can make. As the assembly session proceeded, a small human vessel departed the station, folding space to reach Earth in an instant rather than the weeks it would have taken previously. Aboard, Admiral Reeves reviewed reports from the exploration fleets now venturing beyond the galaxy's edge, into territories the former council had deemed too dangerous to explore. The message that humanity had delivered when they silently left the council table continued to reverberate across the stars. Never mistake silence for weakness. Sometimes it is merely the sound of preparing something unprecedented. The galaxy had watched in terror as humans left the table, only to discover that humanity had simply been setting a better one elsewhere, one where all species could sit as equals.